Youorns. Greetings, fellow Watford fans. Omar here, and it's time for the Orns observation, as we are now in the international break and assessing Watford Football Club at this point. Of course, look, we know that this club has a lot of shortcomings in terms of a lot of the things that have happened the last few years. Fans are not happy. We are not happy. We're not a happy bunch, and for a very, very good reason, for many good reasons, I think. And look, you can love this club as I do, as many Watford fans do. You can love this club with all your heart, and I certainly do. You can support the lads each and every Saturday and whenever they play, and I certainly do. But that doesn't necessarily mean, in fact, it doesn't mean that you have to like the people who are running the club into the ground. And you have to be a football supporter of this club. There's no question about that. If you're a Watford supporter, you love this club. There is no if, ands, or buts. You can support a club, and you can also have an issue with the way the club is being run. Fans are entitled to voice their discontent if they're seeing a pattern of poor judgment, rude treatment, disrespect, poor performances on the pitch, and no return on their investment. Issues with Hive Live, issues with the quality of the broadcast. And yes, there was an instance where there was a refund, one or two instances of that. And it's getting better now. But the fans have a right to speak up about that if that's going on. And supporting a football club does not mean that you keep your mouth closed when there's bad things happening, when there's unhealthy and toxic things happening. That is not support. That is keep quiet and don't question. You can do two things. This is not a binary situation. You can support the club as passionately as you do, as passionately as I do, and you can also criticize the level of poor judgment that is happening in some areas of this club. Whether it's some of the things that go on off the pitch, as some of the Watford fans have talked about on social media, with the Luton situation, with the coaches, with the situation with someone who was asking Watford about a situation with their student ID or something like that, and that particular person posted a letter online, and that was a really horrible response from Watford brass. Whether it's some of these other things that are going off the pitch that we're all, as Watford supporters, scratching our heads going, well, what's this? You can do both. You can focus on supporting the lads every week, and you can quite rightly criticize when these lads are not given 100%, when they're not turning up, when they're on the beach, when they couldn't care less, when they play Jekyll and Watford football, one half good, one half poor. You as a fan have the right to do that. You are paying, as a fan, your hard-earned wages, whether it's in season ticket money, whether it is in traveling up and down the country, whether it is in terms of getting a hotel room, staying overnight, support the lads, buying the merchandise. You're entitled to have your say as a fan. I'm 100% behind getting behind the lads. I believe in supporting these lads. Absolutely. I believe in constructive criticism. I believe in being honest. I believe in telling the truth. And I think that the fans are entitled to be honest about what they see at this club, positives and negatives. We can do both. We can do both. We're human beings. And there's no secret that the state of Watford Football Club is not what it was in the Graham Taylor and Elton John days. There's no question there's a completely different type of club. The environment's different now. Yes, the great work that the club does off the pitch with a lot of initiatives, again, I will always applaud that. Always. In fact, that's at minimum what the club that we love should be doing. I mean, I applaud that, but it's the least that we can really do. And we do it so much better than any other football club on this planet. And we rightly, as a Watford Football Club supporter and as someone who loves this club, the club that I support, that you support as a Watford supporter, proudly does those great things off the pitch. And we can proudly wear that with pride. However, there's a lot of other things, in my estimation, that aren't going as well as they could go. And as I have spoken about this a number of times on social media, if not previously here, I have on a number of occasions, both publicly on social media and privately to people at Watford Football Club, offered my own constructive solutions, suggestions, and ideas to improving things at Watford Football Club. I've done that over the last year and a half. There has been radio silence coming from Watford Football Club. They are not interested in what I have to say, and I'm not the only fan, I'm sure. Listen, I'm not trying to make this about me at all. I am just saying that the offer is still on the table. I would like to contribute to the discussions and the dialogue about Watford Football Club, because I believe that you should have different views at the table from people that you like and that you're comfortable with, and people that you might not like and may not be comfortable with. Seriously, I mean, it's not funny. I have over and over and over again talked about this openly. I'm being transparent as a Watford supporter. I've got nothing to hide. I'm not afraid to give you my opinion, honestly, about what I see going on at the club, positive and negative. And every fan is entitled to do that. Every supporter is entitled to do that. It's sad. Speaking of transparency and honesty and openness, because that's one thing the fans are. They are open and transparent and honest. And there are some people at Watford Football Club who may not be. Some fans would go further than I have in what I just said. But speaking of being open and honest, it's very, very sad. And I've talked about this here before. It's very, very sad to see the way that this club is being run now. In some areas, it's very sad. The whole ethos of this club has changed now. I understand that football is a business. We all know that here. We're not naive. And business should be entitled to thrive. It's how the people running the club are going about things that has alienated a portion of the Watford supporter base. Now, there's always going to be Watford fans who are going to stick with, oh, yes, the owner, yay, yay, yay. There's always going to be that group of fans. Not belittling that at all. If you see nothing wrong with what the owner has done over the last maybe 3 or 4 years, You're entitled to stick behind the owner. I want this owner to succeed, by the way. I do. I'm not rooting for Gino Pozzo to not succeed here. I want Gino Pozzo to succeed. And he has for the first 6, maybe even 7 years of his time so far as a Watford owner. He succeeded. He succeeded. The last maybe 2, 3 seasons, not so much. Not so much. Yes, of course, there is the very big matter of a promotion. Let's not overlook that. To do what Watford did in season 2020 to 2021, quite frankly, nothing short of miraculous. Pandemic, no fans, Troy Deeney injured for almost 3 months of that promotion run, and a Watford side that performed above, I think, where that team can perform, given the personnel that it had. Granted, they were Premier League players, many of them. Gino Pozzo has been, for the first 7 or 8 years, 7 years, he's been a good owner at Watford. He has done things that, again, I'll keep talking about this. He's done some things that have really raised the profile of this club in a positive way. But what's happened these last 3 years have not been positive. And it's not solely because of what's happening on the pitch or what has happened on the pitch. It's about the way that fans, some fans, I'm not going to ever speak for all fans. I'm only going to speak for me, quite frankly. But what I see is this mistreatment of some of the fan base. Some of the fans tell me they don't feel included. They don't feel welcome. They feel completely disillusioned. Absolutely disillusioned. I'm not making this up. I've got no reason to make this up. I don't lie. I tell the truth about what I see. And some people don't like the truth. Some people do not like the truth. They want to be told that everything's fine and the sky is, the sky is green. They think that if you told some of the people out in the world that the sky was green, they'd be comfortable with that. And I think that there are people, some people, not everybody at Watford, but some people inside the Watford Football Club who want you to tell them that the sky is green. The sky is not green. And I think we have to be honest about that. It's a fact. It's not even an opinion. It's a fact. The sky is not green. So if Watford aren't performing on the pitch, and they haven't performed well on the pitch for, say, this season and last season, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the Watford performances for the last 2 seasons have been excellent, because I'd be lying to you. And furthermore, I'd look like a big fool. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this club is run in the best way possible. I can't tell you that, because I'd be insulting you. As someone who watches this video, as someone who might subscribe to this channel, and I hope you do. Thank you very much if you have. If you haven't, please subscribe. If I were to sit here and tell you that Watford have been excellent this season and excellent the previous season, I'd be insulting your intelligence. And furthermore, as I said, I'd be lying to you. I am all about supporting this club. Supporting this club means also making your voice heard when some of the people at the club are not running the club in the best possible way, or are not running the club with the very best interests of the club and the fans at heart. You can love football, you can love Watford Football Club and still disapprove of some of the people in terms of how they're running the club. I don't have any ill will toward anyone at Watford. I don't. And just because I have an opinion, a view about Gino Pozzo and how he's been running things particularly, that doesn't mean I don't like the man. I have no problem with any of these people personally. Now, there might be some fans who do. I am certainly not one of them. And whenever someone has said anything that indicates that they have something personal against any of the people running the club, I am the first one in the forums that I run, in the fora I run, to say, no, knock it off. Especially if someone's saying something that is threatening or anything along those lines. I've made it clear from the start with these forums that I do for the last 2 seasons, that stuff is going to get blocked and people are going to be blocked and reported. So I make it very, very clear about anyone speaking in that kind of way about anyone running this club. These people are human beings. They are entitled to their own autonomy. And they are entitled to people not going at them personally. I just want to stress one more thing, and I want to repeat this actually. Again, you can support Watford Football Club and you can still have your criticisms about how things are being run in certain areas of the club or wherever you think things are not being run the way they should be run. You have that right as a Watford supporter. You have that right as someone who's a season ticket holder. And it doesn't matter if you've supported Watford all your life or if you just started supporting them 3 weeks ago. You still have that right. Now, here's another thing I want to add. I don't approve of, and in fact, I condemn when people are attacking and verbally, vociferously attacking fan groups, individual fans who happen to be at these meetings with Gino and Scott Duxbury. Those fans have a right to be there. If the club's made that decision or if the fans have made that decision, that's up to them. And I support that those individuals are in the room. The one thing I have said to Watford Football Club, and I've said this publicly, everybody knows who follows youorns WFC on social media, particularly on Twitter, is that there needs to be more diverse voices in the room. And I'm not talking about the same homogeneous people. I'm not talking about the same familiar faces that you've seen before. I'm not talking about the same people that get interviewed and talked about and put on the camera and all that. I'm not talking about just those individuals. And again, I've got nothing against any of these people at all. I'm happy that they're there. I am happy that they're there. I am. I'm simply saying that we need to expand the group of people that are in dialogue with Watford Football Club. I've said this for 2 years almost now. It's not anything new. It's not anything new at all. We need to have an expansion, and the club needs to open and broaden its horizons and start to also listen to fans who may not look like them, who may not sound like them, and who may have opinions that they may not like to hear. And these are opinions that don't have any swear words in them, don't have any nasty comments in them, don't have any insults thrown in. These are opinions and constructive engagements. That's what this is. And if you are afraid to listen to some Watford supporters who have a very different view of how things are being run and have some ideas about improving how things are going, and if you don't want to listen to those kinds of people, and it's not just about me, I'm telling you, it's not about me. I'm thinking about not just me, any Watford supporter who is critical of how the club is being run in some areas and who has ideas and solutions. I've hosted forums on Twitter about this a year and a half ago, asking other fans, okay, what can we do? What things would you like to see? I have so many ideas, but if you don't want to hear them and you're someone at Watford Football Club and you don't wish to hear the ideas because you don't like the fact that I've criticized you publicly over social media, and I have raised some critical questions about some of the things you're doing, how you're treating Watford legends like Luther Blissett, how you're treating fans. If you don't like the fact that I have and other Watford supporters have raised critical issues, and then all of a sudden one of my Twitter accounts isn't working anymore because now someone, presumably, because I don't know who it would be, I don't have evidence, but I know it's not a ghost, that suddenly disabled one of my Twitter accounts regarding Watford. I mean, yeah, I don't know exactly who at Watford might have done this. I have no evidence. I get it. But come on now. The ghost did not come in and switch the account off. And you see, this is the kind of thing that I'm talking about. You have some players complaining about wages and about docking wages and all this. You've got fans not happy. You've got players who are getting their contracts cut. Dan Gosling. You got players of this 25 million pound stuff going on, Hassan Kamara, and whatever that is. You've got Roy Hodgson now at Palace again, been given what, 5 million pounds last season for what, 18, 19 games, and he didn't really give a rat's about the club and certainly didn't care about the fans. And I get it. These managers don't have to say boo to the fans. But if we're supposed to all be on the same page at Watford, you might want to also memo your manager about that from last season. Because the stuff that he said about Watford supporters, who clearly knew more about the team than he did, when he subs off Imran Louza against Arsenal last season in the Premier League, the stuff he said about the Watford fans is another issue that contributes to why a section of the Watford fan base are alienated from this club. I love this Watford club. I've always loved it. I loved it before Gino was here. I loved it when Gino was here. I love it now. And I will love it after he decides to move on and focus on Udinese. I will love it when there's a new owner here. I'm not making any bones about that. But when you've got Watford supporters, Watford Football Club supporters, wanting to have a dialogue, wanting to bring their ideas to the table, and they're not even being looked at. My whole point here is this, and I'll close with this. You cannot ever, ever hope to improve your business if you only speak to the same familiar, comfortable faces. I'm all for the same familiar, comfortable faces if you want to speak to them. But there have to be additional voices in that room, along with the faces and people that you find to be nice and comfortable. I'm a nice person. I am. I don't even need to justify myself. And I'm not speaking about anyone else here but me. I'm someone who tells the truth. I'm someone who calls it as I see it. I'm someone who's very honest about what I see, and I'm very honest about the vision and what I'm looking at here. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the sky is green when it's clearly nighttime. I'm not going to tell you that the sky is green when it's dark outside. And I think that there are people who are asking you to agree that the sky is green when in fact it is completely pitch black. I think that's a real problem. And I think that we have to get behind the lads. There's no question about that. I don't think it's going to be difficult to get behind the lads as poorly as they have done this season. But one thing that keeps the engine running is the passion of the fans. And if the fans are being asked by anyone to be silenced or to just kind of forget what's going on off the pitch, forget the poor performances, then you're only asking us to be half of ourselves as fans. You're only asking us to be the good half, whatever that means. You're not asking us to be fans. You're asking us to be happy, clappy fans. And you don't even have that in real life. You don't have happy, clappy people and never have that same person have moments of criticism, doubt, insecurity, concern, fear, anger. There's never a human being invented on this planet who doesn't have some happy moments and also at the same time have some moments where they're ticked off that something's not going well. And you know what usually happens? Not every time, but when a human being isn't happy about something that's not going right, we would like to think that they would like to try to change that thing that's not going right. If you're being asked as a human being not to look at those other things that aren't going right and only focus on the things that are going well, while the situation that's not going right continues to not going right and continues to get worse and worse and continues not to go right and get worse and worse, you're asking us to be fools. I'm going to end now with a quote, well, a paraphrase from James Baldwin, one of my heroes. James Baldwin said, and again, I'm paraphrasing this now, I love America more than any other country on earth. And it is exactly for that reason why I retain the right to criticize her perpetually. I liken what James Baldwin said to my own feelings about this club. I love Watford Football Club, and I love Watford Football Club unconditionally. And it is exactly for that reason why I retain the right to criticize the club in areas where the club is going down the wrong path. You can support these lads, and I want everyone who's a Watford supporter watching this to get behind these lads. But you can also get behind the lads by making it clear that the club and the fans deserve better. This has been the YouOrns observation.